Hey there, and welcome to my channel, The Paperbag Investor. In today's video, I want to talk about Tesla, and the question is Tesla a bubble? And if it is a bubble, will it pop? So let's get into it. But before I go any further, I just want to make it absolutely clear, I'm not a personal financial advisor, just a guy with a paper bag on his head who loves investing and thinking about the future. If you love investing, you love thinking about the future as well, and you love high growth, long-term growth potential that could really, in stocks, that could really help your portfolio do exceptionally well over time. That's my investing philosophy and the kind of companies I search for. So I encourage you, hit that subscribe button down below. I can't guarantee that it'll make your portfolio do better for sure, but it's in the bag that following along with my channel will make you a better investor, which should help you do better with your investments, but better with your personal finance. So if that all interests you, I encourage you subscribe to the channel, follow along as my channel here grows. But today we're talking about Tesla and whether or not Tesla is a bubble. And if it is a bubble, will it pop? Because we all know Tesla's had an incredible rise, the share price over the last year and a half or so. Just huge, basically is straight up the side of a cliff. It's been shooting straight up the side of a mountain, right? And if it is a bubble, I'm just going to put up a graph, a sort of relative price of housing over the years, and there's the 2008 market crash of the housing market crash, which we're going to talk a little bit in this presentation about that. Just threw up that graph of that as a reference of sort of idea of the bubble soaring way, way, way up high and then suddenly crashing even faster than it went up. It suddenly crashes down. So today I want to talk about what is a bubble, why do they form, why do they pop. I want to look at Michael Burry's. He was in a movie, made a movie about him called The Big Short. His Tesla bubble prediction. I want to look at that. And then finally, I just want to say, make sure you stick around, watch through, and stick around to the end as I give you my take whether or not Tesla will pop or not, whether it is a bubble or not. So what is a bubble? Okay, when the market value of something rises rapidly and then suddenly falls. Hence this bubble metaphor that is sort of suddenly expands and then even faster pops and everything is gone. So that's the metaphor that people are talking about with the bubble if you're totally new to this. Why do bubbles form? I think the number one reason is because of greed. Okay, I'm going to try and explain this. The market is just a large collection of people. You can imagine like 100 people in a room trying to negotiate the value of something, or you can imagine millions or billions of people trying to negotiate the value of something. It's the same, really works. This mechanism still works in the same way. And greed kicks in for people once an asset rises and continues to rise more and more. So people begin buying, not because of and people begin buying an asset or a stock or whatever it is, not because of the underlying value of the asset or business, but because they are riding a wave of momentum, or they think and know that there are others buying behind them and pushing the price up even further. So some people right now in today's day and age might say that Bitcoin is a bubble. I'm not going to say Bitcoin's a bubble. That could be a totally another topic. But some people would think Bitcoin's a bubble, while others would argue there's actually underlying value of Bitcoin that you don't understand, and that's why it keeps rising and it's worth even more than it is currently. So you have those kind of opposing forces. But in a bubble, truly a true bubble, it's driven by greed. It's people just seeing, oh, other people are making lots of money. I'm going to keep buying. I'm going to buy into this, and I'm going to make lots of money because the guy behind me is going to buy in as well. Of course, that starts happening. You have a flood of money, a flood of sort of value into one asset or thing or company. The price or the market price of that thing is going to explode. So that's why they form. Why do they pop? Once this greed factor kicks in, many people begin piling in and adding more and more buying pressure. Keeps building up and up even further. And the key really of why these bubbles are forming is the market valuation for the buyers becomes completely unhinged from what the underlying present value of the company could arguably be worth. And that's based on, I base that, what the present value is based on possible future cash flows. And what the present value is based on the future cash flows is what can this company or thing do for you? What can it generate? What can it create in the future? If that's based in reality, then it's not a bubble. if people are just buying and completely ignoring that, then you're definitely in a bubble and bubble territory, and things could get nasty for you. At some point, why do they pop? At some point, money stops flowing in. Owners begin selling their assets, the asset, and suddenly all these owners who own the asset because of greed, because they think I'm just going to buy this just to make a quick buck, and because the person behind me is also buying it, they all want to share simultaneously at the same time, and nobody wants to buy their shares, so they become worthless instantly. The bubble pops, right? So that's why they pop. Now, the question for today, is Tesla a bubble? Now we've talked about bubbles, we kind of think why they're kind of occurring, why they're popping. Michael Burry's prediction. Okay, Michael Burry predicted the 2008 housing market bubble before it crashed. And I have a lot of respect for this guy. He made, was it like $100 million? I forget the figure. And for himself, and then for his clients, he made hundreds of millions of dollars on top of that for his clients, because he foresaw and shorted the market crash of 2008. And he went under a lot of pressure to make that prediction and put his money behind it and stand behind it. So a very, very, obviously a very smart guy, and has a lot of self-confidence and guts to make that prediction. But now here's a picture of him too, and they made a movie about the whole, where he was his character here, he himself was in it, or a character about him, but he is now predicting Tesla will also pop in the same way. And here's a headline. It says, Big Short investor Michael Burry predicts Tesla stock will collapse like the housing bubble. And he actually said, enjoy it while it lasts. He had some tweets about this just the other day. So, I want to look at the 2008 housing crash versus Tesla. Just briefly look at these two things to see what Michael Burry's kind of getting at here. To me, the underlying value between these two scenarios, Tesla and the housing crash of 2008, is completely different, okay? In 2008, the housing environment was driven by greed. There were incentive structures that allowed mortgages to be given to people, big, huge loans for a big, huge house, to given to people that could not afford to pay that mortgage, or realistically was not a good deal, or was not feasible for them to pay that over time. And there were improper incentives for the mortgage lenders and brokers to give out many mortgage loans as possible. So they were motivated to give out loans, even though they were giving out loans that long-term people could not afford if interest rates rose at all. The whole thing was fueled by improper incentives and greed. It was really people trying to live beyond their means and get a bigger house than they really could afford, or maybe even a house when they really shouldn't even be affording a house, and other lenders giving out money they really shouldn't be lending out, because there's just improper incentives in place. So people were fueled by greed to make for their own self-gain, for their own immediate buck. Now, versus Tesla, if you for non-Tesla shareholders and the Tesla skeptic out there, even people, of course, that are short Tesla, they do not understand the incredible rise in Tesla's share price over the last 1.5 years. They don't get it. Their analysis, including Michael Burry's, if you read his tweets, a few weeks ago, he tweeted about Tesla and did some sort of analysis on it. They almost always, in their analysis, compare Tesla directly to other legacy automakers. They compare their revenues, directly comparing them right now in this year. They compare their number of vehicles, so right now, from all these other automakers. That's basically the extent of, they reason by analogy and say Tesla's an automaker and compare it to other automakers that have been around for a long, long time. And I did a video about this. It's called What Skeptics Get Wrong. This is when Michael Burry actually tweeted out these initial tweets where he just compared Tesla to all the other automakers. And I kind of explained that in more detail in that video. I'll leave that video in the description if you're interested. But for Tesla shareholders, many understand that Tesla's long-term value will likely be much higher, or a much larger multiple of even the share price today. Including myself, I think Tesla will be much more valuable than it is even today at its sort of lofty share price. Here's why. Tesla's future and present value, and my 2030 rough estimate is that Tesla could have a market cap. It's a big window, but it could maybe be 2.7 trillion to 8.7 trillion. This is very rough. It could actually be higher than that. I tried to be conservative with these numbers. And I did a video on this as well. I'll leave in the description where it said, is Tesla a buy? It's $700 a share. And of course, now we're getting close to $900 a share. So this video is getting out of date. But this was only about a week ago I put that out. And if you're curious, you can see how I got those numbers. How did I get those numbers? How, in a sort of short form for this video, how did I get to those numbers? Well, Tesla's future value, if you look at their full self-driving potential and robo-taxi potential, is just massive, massive, massive. This will literally completely change the world if they achieve full self-driving. Of course, they have to achieve it. I think they have the right strategy and overall approach to do that. I've made other videos on that as well. So that's a huge driver. It's completely different than any other automaker. In this sense, you're more like a software on wheels. The car is just a computer that's housed and sold so you can sell software, which is super, super high margin business. Okay, and then their EVs and battery technology lead. In my mind, they're the best EV company in the world. They have the best battery in the world, and their advantage in that area is only expanding over time. And EVs and battery technology lead, the whole world is going electric and is going to be continuing to push regulations for that. With Biden becoming the president now of the United States, there's going to be a massive push in the U.S. The U.S. really is, like it or not, and I love it. I like it. I'm a big fan of the U.S. The U.S. really is the world leader in so many different ways. And if they're pushing for electric and renewable energies at full steam ahead with Biden giving incentives that way, then the whole world's going to follow that even faster than you realize. Also, energy storage, solar energy generation. I did put that in here, insurance as well. All these other areas of the business, there's even other areas I didn't even list here they could possibly get into as well. They could drive this to this 8.7 trillion or higher number by 2030. When you compare that for these Tesla investors, hardcore investors like myself, who just love the company and follow every little detail of it, to us, Tesla is still undervalued, even at the current price. So the question in the video, and you're probably wondering, you're saying, get to the point, Mr. Paperbag Investor, is Tesla a bubble or not? Is it going to suddenly pop, or all my shares going to evaporate? I mean, I want to be clear, nothing is for certain. There's crazy things that can happen in the whole world, the whole market. Nobody could have expected COVID, for example. Anything can really happen, even forces outside of Tesla that could cause whole markets to suddenly drop. So there's risks involved with anything, and you have to do your own due diligence, and don't just take my own word, but do your own thinking, your own due diligence. But here's my answer. Is Tesla a bubble or not? I do not think Tesla is a bubble, because I think there are still so many investors that they view it in the same way I do, as a company that's still undervalued today and will someday be the world's largest company by, I think, quite a large margin. Okay, and because there is this base of so many investors like myself who see clearly this way that there is no bubble to pop, for us the underlying value is still greater than the share price. And if the price were actually to start falling, investors like myself we'd find more money and buy more shares, because we're more convinced than ever that the future value could be so much higher. So it's completely different than, say, the housing market, where people's trying to start selling their homes, and there's nobody, there was no one there obviously buying up the homes when everyone wanted to sell their home at once or were defaulting on their mortgages. In this case, if the stock price actually started falling, there would be there'd be like the legion of hardcore Tesla enthusiasts and investors and fans and Tesla owners, and that legion is only growing as Tesla's footprint on the whole world grows. They're going to want to buy shares, and as the price falls, those people would be buying shares because they still see the future potential of it. So is this a bubble or not? No, I don't think it is. I really don't think it is. I really don't think Tesla shares are going to suddenly drop in half. Like I said, anything's possible. There could be certain scenarios where crazy things happen, but I really don't see that happening myself. So that's the video today. That's what I think about Tesla being a bubble. I'd love to hear what you think in the comments down below. Do you think Tesla is a bubble or not? Let us know. And if you got value out of this video, I also encourage you hit that subscribe button down below, share this with somebody else, and smash the like button, so they say. Really helps the YouTube algorithm. Okay, I'll see you in my next video. Thanks for watching.